Hi, I'm Datham, and welcome to Mini Stories, the show where I make minis tell stories, make stories into minis, or just paint minis and tell stories. In this video, I'm making a diorama around a new original world, which I'll continue to explore in future projects. Since last year, I've been working on this writing project set in an alternate world, where our dreams become plagued by a new, unknown threat. Our protagonist for this video is an unfortunate girl who has been suffering these nightmares for a couple days. I'll be using this model sculpted by Volt C, which I printed at 40mm scale to continue with my scale experiments from last month's video. Now, every character has a different weapon in the dream, one that resonates directly with them and that holds on to them no matter what they do. So this sword isn't really gonna work for my character. I carefully took it apart, drilling a hole in my character's hand to place a pipe cleaner instead. And no, her weapon's not a giant pipe cleaner, but the wire gives me the perfect tool to create it. So I put on a mask for the next step since it involves burning plastic, and moved the lighter through the pipe cleaner, melting the tiny hairs in it and leaving a really nice yeah, I accidentally burned a part of it. You need to move the flame quickly to avoid this, and you better do because it's really hard to blow a flame while wearing a mask. The worst part is, all my careful drilling work was ruined by it. The fire and quick movements broke off the character's thumb, so I'll have to fix that later. Spoiler, I won't! Still, I had to finish the weapon. By carefully opening the wire, which I tried on a separate piece first to make sure it worked, I can create a nice shape to hold these two miniature gems, creating this weird, cursed yo-yo. The miniature's pose was so dynamic that I wanted to give her a special weapon, something that truly reflected this dynamism. And I think the yo-yo is perfect for it. And now, it's time to figure out how to make the terrain. And as the main rule of this channel says, Datham owns 1,000 rulers, but he'll never find a single one. I should turn that into a jingle. Anyway, since I didn't have a ruler, I decided to cut the base for my diorama using another diorama. Why not? And after a couple more cuts, sanding tiny sticks, tracing lines and more, I got the base of my diorama perfectly crafted and definitely not 3D printed. Okay, let me explain. I unfortunately lost most of the footage of this, but I had designed the base of the diorama in 3D first, since I knew I didn't have the skills or tools to craft it nearly as well as I wanted to. Still, I decided to try, and after around an hour of fumbling around, I gave up and decided to print the 3D design. Don't worry though, I'm not going to 3D print everything. I will use a regular printer later. Seriously now, it's time for crafting. In my last video, I mentioned I usually don't know every detail in advance, and this diorama is no exception. For example, I didn't know exactly what kind of base I wanted or how I would make it. It seems I also didn't know how to open this Mod Podge. Seriously, who superglued this lid? Now, I knew I wanted to add texture to the concrete and walls, but I didn't know how to achieve it. So I tried stippling Mod Podge onto the print, but the result wasn't good enough for me. Instead of trying other methods right away, I decided to come back to it later and sculpt the walkway with some epoxy putty and a texture roller I printed years ago. I then went back to the wall with more PVA, but this time I added pigments to the mix to add a bit more texture. And while doing this, I had an even better idea: glitter. It's thicker than pigments but finer than sand, so it added the perfect amount of texture to my walls. This does have a downside though. Glitter seems to avoid paint very well, so if you pay close attention, you might see some glittery particles in the finished piece. Now, you might have noticed I'm leaving the lower part of the wall clean. And that's because it's supposed to be marble, and in order to achieve the smoothness of that material, I added a tiny bit of this super thick resin that has self-leveling properties. And while the resin dries, it's time to begin working on the doors. I used cardboard, tongue depressors, popsicle sticks and even a broken swimming pool net to create different materials that I'm hoping will make the diorama much more interesting. I want the nightmare to feel close to reality, which is why I picked real-world references, but I need to make it feel ethereal and uncanny. Most of this will be done through the paint job and additional details added after painting the model. But before I let narrator Datham take over, I will spoil one thing: I used AI to create some posters. Now, before you leave comments saying how AI is evil and all of that, let me clarify. Like I said, I wanted this world to feel weird, uncanny, as if something was trying to be human but not quite achieving it, which sounds pretty close to AI to me. For this reason, I used AI to write texts, and only for that. I wanted them to be completely illegible while still retaining some sort of similarity with human writings. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you think the use of AI was justified in this case or not. I know it's a controversial topic and I'm generally against AI art, But I think AI is better than humans at trying and failing to be human. After all, we are surprisingly good at being human ourselves. Now, with all that said, I think it's finally time to paint, and time for narrator Daedam to tell us the tale of Eliana Peltre. Eliana opens her eyes, analyzing her surroundings before letting out a sigh. She's sitting as usual on a walkway in what seems to be her neighborhood. But as she looks to the wall on the other side of the street, she confirms what she already knew. This place is not her home. It's not the posters that put her on edge, even with those twisted, illegible texts that try to mimic their real-world counterparts, and the pictures that seem to follow her with their gaze as she moves. The signs are not nearly as disturbing to Eliana as the barricaded doors, every single one covered with wood planks, mesh, and all kinds of debris. She has no escape from this place, no safe space to hide away until she wakes up. Eliana looks down at her right arm, feeling the tight embrace of what, in the waking world, would have been a blessing. In the nightmare though, her yo-yo is nothing but a curse. Its smooth faces are replaced by a glowing gem that causes horrifying images and voices to invade her mind whenever she looks at it for too long. But she can't let it go, can't ever drop it. No, its soft string appears instead as a sort of intertwined cable, connecting the device to her hand and wrapping tightly around her arm. Has it gotten longer? Has it completed yet another turn around her body, securing itself even more? She's not sure, but the cable on her arm might as well be wrapped around her neck for how it seems to smother her. But no matter how many nights it's been, 12 or 13 so far, she thinks, the 17-year-old girl still hasn't given up. She gets up as silently as she can, leaning on her left arm, not wanting to draw any attention, to walk towards the closest door, as she has done for the last 4 nights. A couple planks are still broken on the floor from one of her previous streams. It seems the world doesn't simply reset between nights. A new poster has appeared on the exposed mesh on the doorway. It's bigger than the others, but similar in design, mimicking the ones in the real world. She recognizes it easily, even with the scrambled text. "Have you seen this face? Call." Eliana chuckles softly, as if they could help. Still better than Rivarola, she thinks. The face in the poster is looking at her. Or is it? She still hasn't. Eliana turns around, feeling her blood running cold. It's not just that one. They don't seem to follow her. They are all staring. The creatures have found her. With a sudden, angry shriek, Eliana launches her yo-yo against the poster on the door, tearing it apart and leaving a gash on the metallic mesh. The yo-yo flies back to her hand, pulled by that cursed cable, and she catches it without even looking. Her attention is focused elsewhere, on the shapes, approaching from every corner of the street, slowly walking toward her, their arms outstretched, pointing at her, staring at her. This puts the girl into action. She knows she doesn't have much time, but if she manages to break down the door, at least tomorrow she will have a safe place to hide. Using her free hand, she grabs the broken mesh, pulling as hard as she can to tear it away, not paying attention to how the metallic, jagged edges cut her skin. The creatures are getting closer, their featureless, uncanny faces now visible to her. She knows what comes next. But before the creatures get even closer, Eliana takes a step back and begins throwing her yo-yo against the door, over and over again, trying to break through the doorway. The loud bang of the mesh being impacted mixes with the noise of wood creaking and splintering beneath it as the girl attacks. But as she is about to strike again, a third noise causes her to freeze. A cacophony of voices, screams, shrieks, laughter coming from all around her. Eliana turns towards the closest of the creatures, noticing its eerie mouth wide open. She knows the thing is emitting the voices somehow, but it's as if the sound was everywhere. She strikes with anger, throwing her yo-yo against the horrible face. The creature doesn't dodge. It does nothing. She knows it won't. They never defend themselves. They just keep getting closer, keep screaming that horrible sound, even as she attacks again and again. No matter how many she defeats, there's always more coming. There's always someone staring, pointing at her. There's always the voices. All the girl wants is to be left alone, to find a hiding spot. But the Horde doesn't even let her do that. And so, Eliana fights with all her energy, once again finding herself surrounded. Maybe tomorrow she'll finally manage to break through the doorway. Then again, who knows what's on the other side? Thank you so much for watching. I had a ton of fun making this project. I've wanted to tell stories around this world for a while now, and I think this diorama might be one of my favorites I've done so far. But let me know what you thought in the comments below, and if you liked this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. I'll be back next month with more minis to paint and more stories to tell. Take care, and thanks for watching.